Gambler Jack, Chapter 8. Hal. The clock chimed at the 11th hour. The match between Jack and Hal was to start at midnight exactly. She waited the interim in Enrique's room. Your father became ill and died 7 years ago. That's what the girl had heard from her mother. But 3 years ago, she learned her father had died in a match. Hal didn't have many memories of her father. She'd spent her childhood with her mother. That was exactly why, though, that each and every one was engraved into her heart as irreplaceable treasures. The things she remembered best were the sights in the gambling dens. She didn't often get to go along, but to her, the way her father could silence even the most finely dressed gentleman with his near-magical card handling was something she admired with all her heart. The last memory Hal had was of him taking her hand while she was in bed and telling her not to worry. Maybe that memory was what kept her from believing what her mother said about how her father died. After all, how could the strong, healthy man from that memory drop dead of illness so suddenly? One fateful moment, out shopping for her mother, she found herself heading on a whim to one of the gambling dens in the back street. There, overhearing some chatter from a few thugs, she came to understand the truth of her father's death. After all, to the types who frequent gambling dens, the match from 7 years before was too famous not to talk about. Having learned the truth, she found herself consumed by one single emotion: the desire for revenge on Jack. Swearing she would become as good as her father, Hal began frequenting the gambling dens and played with that one burning wish guiding her hands. It was Enrique who, hearing rumors, spoke to Hal first. 7 years before, betting on Jack, he had claimed victory in his conflict with Juan. And now he saw a chance to do the same again by setting King's daughter against Jack. And so, he brought the idea of recreating the match to her. To Hal, it was the perfect means to an end. Cutting off connection with her mother, she joined Enrique's group. Being blessed with talent to begin with, and having abandoned all else to focus on improving, she reached King's level in barely 3 years. Hal's eyes were distant as she waited quietly for the match. Perhaps those 3 years were running through them. Still seated, she bowed her head and let out a big, long sigh. No need to let the weight of this drag you down, you know, Enrique said softly to her. Don't worry, she replied. Now that I'm here, my heart is as light as a feather. Her face betrayed the lie in her words as a flicker of sorrow creased her features. But it was only for a moment. In the next, she was back to the same poker face. Right now, the only thing on my mind is seeing Jack lose. Hearing Hal's words, Enrique's lips twisted up. Perhaps it was confidence in his victory that warped his face. Gambler Jack, Chapter 8, End.